everybody, we are back with another installment on the scooter. We got the bike converted last time to look the part of the AF09 Tact, but it doesn't quite look the part for the style. Next up on the list is some suspension, or lack thereof. As they say in this world, no sus, or you sus. Bruh. Something like that. So we got some skateboard bushings that we ordered off Amazon, and we're gonna go ahead and take apart this suspension, pull the springs out, and get this thing dropped down closer to the earth. All right, to start this out, let's go over tools we're gonna need. First and foremost, I like to have a good impact driver. I'm using a 1/4 inch here just because it's what I have for sockets. Next, I've got a 12 mil, a 10 mil, and an 8 mil socket to take off the various bolts we're gonna be tackling. I've got a few different wrenches. I've got a 17 mil, a 14 mil, and a 12 mil. We also have a large flat blade screwdriver to pry apart that spring and open up the perch, and a Phillips head to unscrew the bottom of the shock mount. Lastly, we got some pliers to grip the shaft of the shock. Not what you want to do normally, but in this case, we're not really using the suspension on this bike, so it's gonna do. One of the things I've learned online is that there's actually a couple different choices of shocks you can run. This would be your factory AF09 Tact or Aero shock. This one actually looks kind of bent. I'm not sure if that's just how it's made or what, but it looks a little out of whack. So you could run this, take the spring off, put some skateboard bushings in there, and it could ride okay. But I've also heard of people using a Yamaha C3 Zuma shock. And this would allow us to get a little bit lower, perhaps retain some suspension. I'm not sure if we want to do that. It's not really the style, but we'll see how it looks with either one. And then for the front suspension, we will be taking those springs out and replacing it with the skateboard bushings. I got a couple different durometers to check out, so we'll see which one feels a little better. I'm probably gonna go stiffer because this is a lot more weight than what a skateboard bushing would be holding normally. All right, first thing we're gonna wanna do here is get you a flat blade screwdriver. Find a good spot to stick this thing in between the spring and the actual spring perch. Once you can shove it in, you'll twist it, and that'll allow you some space to get to the bolt that's in there with your wrench. I can't do this with one hand, so I'm gonna go off camera real quick, pop this thing off, and show you exactly what it looks like once it's removed. So once I've got the wrench actually in there, what I'm gonna do is turn this against this so we can get this loose. It shouldn't take too much force. I was actually able to get it with another wrench, and you'll see that you can start to get this thing apart. Just like that. So you'll hold this way, twist this the other way, and it'll come apart. You'll see it start to form a gap underneath there. There we go, got the spring off. Let's go ahead and get these skateboard bushings thrown on, see exactly how tall we want it, clean this thing up, and then move on to the front. All right, so we got our, I believe these are 91 durometer bushings. Just whatever was on Amazon, these were like $6 for the set. But they came with these nice like cup washers to hold them in place. And that's probably gonna stop these things from like blowing apart super fast. So let's go ahead and get this all put together, see what it looks like and how it feels in the scooter. So I was running into some clearance issues with my exhaust hitting the frame on the scooter, so I went ahead and threw these other ones in. Doesn't get me too much lower, but it will stop it from rubbing on the frame every time I hit a bump. All right, so we got the suspension on at full droop, I guess you could say, and you can just see the tiny amount of clearance I have in there between the frame and the exhaust. So we're doing well just to have this much of a drop on here. But yeah, I took it out. It feels okay. It doesn't ride too bad. It feels fairly smooth. I mean, I'm sure the tires are doing most of the work, but now we've got the front wheel off. So we're going to address how to take this front suspension out. And that is done by means of removing the bottom of these shocks from the forks. And then we can put a screwdriver in here the same way as the other, access the nut, and unscrew it. Okay, so we got our bottom piece off, again by using that screwdriver, slipping the 17 mil in, and then holding against the spring perch with that pair of pliers. Now, we can pull this thing apart. So we got the spring out. We got this interesting sleeve in here. Looks like the spiky side goes up. And now we're gonna get this last nut off and put our skateboard bushings in there. All right, so we got this thing put back together with these skateboard bushings inside of here, stacked real nicely with those washers on both ends to stop them from blowing out. Let's go ahead and get this thing mounted all back together, see how it looks on the ground. Well, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. It is just way too cold out there to try to get some footage of the bike, of me riding it. I'm by myself, so unfortunately I can't get any good rollers, but maybe next time I meet up with David, we can do that. I do have some more mods in store for it in the very near future. I'm just waiting on a couple tools to get here in the mail, and I will be tackling those in shorthand. But for now, thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this as always. Leave a like, drop a sub, let us know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.